Righty, so I wanted to do I wanted to do a video today talking about 5 talking points that I picked up through that Sharks game. Um, some of them are about the game themselves, the way that the All Blacks played, and sort of the styles and plays that I think we'll see again against the Springboks, and also plays that will give Razzie something to think about. Um, But the first thing I want to talk about is the refs. Okay, so first of all, this is a controversial part. The refs, we have 4 different refs for each game, right? So um, we have 3 Northern Hemisphere refs and 1 Southern Hemisphere ref. It's going to be very interesting to see how they ref this, because we know the Northern Hemisphere refs don't really care about time wasting, right? They're not going to speed up the game for the All Blacks, which is what the All Blacks want. We saw last night, Carly. I couldn't quite believe it, really. The All Blacks were the only team last night wanting to play quickly. They were literally waiting on the Sharks at every single line out. When the All Blacks had a line out themselves, they were trying to go quickly. Carly kept blowing them back, and then he pings them once for them, I think, for taking too long, really, because they had, I guess, sort of like an over complex line out move. It took too long to throw the ball, and he pinged them for wasting time, which was just, I mean, out of both the teams, you chose to ping the one team that's trying to play as quick as possible, and while the other team just mucking around, taking their time, got a little warning. But anyway, let's look at that, because if you were to pick one player, like one ref, sorry, let's just forget about the fact that there's one Southern Hemisphere ref. You could pick any of those 4, Amisha Kelly, Carly, Dixon, or Gardner, and give them all 4 games, and we'd probably be better off. Both teams, not just the All Blacks, South Africa as well, right? Because you're going to get consistent calls over each game. Instead, we're going to see different interpretations of the law every single week, and it's going to be bullshit, because the talking points after the game are always going to be about the ref. So this really annoys me. It's not about who the ref is going to benefit more. It's about, we just want to see consistent calls, because let's be honest, right? It doesn't matter who the ref is going to benefit more. If you have the same ref with the same consistency over 4 games, it gives both teams the chance to make adjustments so that they're not getting, refed out all the time. There's no excuses then. But right now, we're going to have a situation where every week we see different rules being applied at different times for different teams for, whatever. So that's the first point, because I think it's going to be a huge talking point over the next 3 or 4 weeks. Right, the second thing I want to talk about is in relation to the injuries. Like, this is going to be a quick one, but we're basically at that time, right? We've played 2 games in very short succession, and there's been a couple of injuries for the All Blacks, but minimal. But now I start to look ahead, and where we have a game on Saturday against the Bulls, and that's the first game in the High Veld, right? It's in Pretoria, and then the following Saturday you have the game against South Africa, the first test. Last night we watched the Sharks and the All Blacks. We saw the All Blacks play Sam Derry and Josh Lord for 80 minutes. Tupu was out there for 60. Omua, that was his second game, sort of with, decent amount of minutes. We're seeing this throughout the team now. I know that was like a largely like fresh team and full strength team, but we're going to have to see some guys again back up on Saturday. And I know this is a tour, right? This is just one of the things you have to deal with on a tour, right? But I look at a few key positions. I look at lock, I look at hooker, I look at even in the loosies, right? Blackadder, he's had 2 starts in a row off the bench with 4 days rest between. I mean, do you play him again on Saturday? And I just think like you're starting to get to this area where you're going to see guys pick up injuries and break down. So like I look at guys like Omua. I mean, he needs a rest this weekend, right? And hopefully Cody Taylor's fit and ready to go. But then I look at the locks. You're going to have to play Holland and Tuipulotu for 80 minutes probably this weekend, and then the following week, you'd imagine they're going to get solid minutes up against South Africa as well. So This is an important time. I think we're at a key moment here where we might see over the next few days to a week, we might see whether this team's going to hold up because we're trying to do like who's going to start the first test. And I don't know. I think there's going to be we're not through the injuries, right? We're going to pick up some more, I think, before the South African test kicks off. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting. But this is something to watch for me. It's going to be key going forward. So leading on from that, I guess I just want to have a look at the fullback debate because obviously D-Mac's your starting fullback, and he is, yeah, I mean, he's your starting fullback, right? He offers you 10 cover from the starting lineup, which means you don't have to carry another 10 on the bench. I've been banging this home for a couple of days now, just with the whole Mo'unga thing and things like that. But DMAC picked up an injury last night. Now, Rennie sort of said that it's not too bad, just a bit of a sprained ankle, so he should be right for the first test. But what if he's not? If he's not, what are the options at fullback for the All Blacks? I mean, the obvious one is Will Jordan moves there, which is my preferred option, I think, because it opens up an extra wing spot, and we've had some really impactful performances in the first two games through guys like Fehi and Morby and Clark. Even Narawa, it looked pretty good. And Clark as well, he looked good. So being able to open up a wing spot for one of those guys, I'm looking like I would love to see Fehi, Clark, and Morby all around the 23. I think they would just be, yeah, a really big point of difference for us. But yeah, I think that's probably the best way to do it. If DMAC was injured, obviously it changes the dynamic then because then you need to bring a 10 onto the bench. At this point, you're looking at Beauden Barrett, right? I don't think they would go Josh Jacob. And if this was a scenario, then Mo'unga would be getting the call up, I would imagine. He will be on a plane, and whether he gets in on the bench over Barrett, you'd like to think he would, and he would back up. Ruben Love from the bench, but I just don't want to see. I've seen a couple of comments about if DMAC's injured, move Love to fullback, bring Mo'unga over and start him at 10. I just don't think that's the way to do it. Ruben Love has been given this extra confidence from his coach saying that you're my 10. He's kicking well. He's doing everything well. He's doing everything asked of him, and he's been like a breath of fresh air, and he's excelling as the new All Blacks 10. Let's not mess with that. He's doing a great job. Let's not move him back to fullback. He wants to play first 5'8". He is the 10 for New Zealand, in my opinion, going forward. You've got a world-class 15 there in Will Jordan. You've got Josh Morby who can play there. You've got Imuni Narawa who can also play there. You've got Beauden Barrett who can also play there. You've got so many 15s. You do not need to move your best 10 to 15. I know some people are saying dual playmaker, but okay, if it's really going to play havoc with Rennie's bench and the way that he wants to play, I get it. But if it's just to have another playmaker in the 15, I just don't agree with that. You've already got Geordie Barrett who pulls a lot of strings and Ruben Love. I think that's enough. So I don't believe moving Love back to 15 should even be contemplated. He's too good at 10. All right, so moving into a bit more about the game plan, there's a couple of things I want to bring up because I think Razzie is going to see a lot more of this in the test matches. And there's two things that I really picked up on that we haven't seen it from the All Blacks that much. And I think it could give South Africa some big, big problems. So the first thing I wanted to mention was the kicking against the Sharks. We saw a totally different game from the All Blacks. And this is just part of I wouldn't say mind games. It's just a mental side of things. It's giving Razzie a look at something else. It's giving Razzie a look at a way that All Blacks can play, which we haven't seen so far this year. And that is kicking themselves, right? They didn't kick all the time. In fact, the second half, they were very much kept the ball in play, but there were a lot of kicks. They tested the Sharks. They put up midfield bombs from penalties. They weren't afraid to, try and hit those 50-20s. Ruben Love had an absolute beautiful 50-22 in the first half. Geordie Barrett was close to getting one as well. They also tested the Sharks with a little chip over the top in the 22. It would have been a try had Damian McKenzie been able to keep a hold of it. There's a couple of grubbers through as well. And I think we're going to see more of that. I think we're going to see more of little even just little chips over the top. You see France do it really well because they have guys like Louis Bielbere who are just absolute speed demons. When they get real front foot ball or they turn the ball over, Dupont just puts on his foot, just chips it over the ruck with a lot of top spin on it, and it just bounces off down the field, and you've got like a Louis Bielbere who can literally beat anyone in a foot race. And because the whole defensive line is up, because they've just been on attack, then it's just a foot race, and they always win it. So I can see that type of thing as well if New Zealand's really on it to be able to counter with that style. And so yeah, I really like their array of kicking, and I think it's going to be really interesting. I don't think they're going to kick as much as what South Africa do, but to show that they can play that way, I do think they will look for those crossfield kicks as well to really get out wide quickly. The other thing I started to notice last night was the quick passing. So we're finally starting to see the All Blacks try to adjust their sort of carry almost into contact, right? Saw multiple times Tupaia when he went into contact, he would shift to the side or a little step just to get off that really solid point of contact, right? We know how strong the South Africans are in the tackle, and being able to change direction slightly just before contact means that the chances of South Africa getting a dominant tackle is even less. So we see Tupai do that a lot, like multiple times, where he just like a little step off his foot as he's approaching like a defender. And even if he doesn't get through the tackle, he's able to get enough through the tackle that his arms are free to offload. So that's what we're seeing a lot of, right? They're doing this, then they're able to get arms free, they offload, the play continues. And then we're seeing a lot of short passing as well. Just before you get to contact, short pass, just changing the contact area. So it's, these two guys have lined up, say, I don't know, Jacobson, and he gives a little pass away, and then you've got, one-on-one instead of a one-on-two, and you're just able to keep going. It's really going to cause Springboks a lot of problems, and that is how you beat a team that is just so dominant in the tackle, is you just keep changing the contact area or the contact point. So I think we saw that last night with the Sharks, and I think we're going to keep seeing it. I've heard so much this week about the ruckathon, Rennie's ruckathon. He just has so many rucks. But he also passes a lot, and this is going to be really key against a team like the Boks. They don't want to be chasing the All Blacks all around the field, and I don't believe the All Blacks can run the Boks off their feet like a lot of people do believe. But I do think they're going to face something that they don't normally face. Let's be honest. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, but I do think we're going to see a lot more of this little passing, short passing, not big passing, not going wide, just little short balls, and changing the point of contact from here to all the way over here. Right, and the last thing I wanted to talk about is something that I saw again last night multiple times, was switch play. It's something that I think we're going to keep an eye on, because I think we'll see it against the Boks, because this is, again, it's similar in what I've just been talking about and changing the point of contact from here to here. We're seeing multiple times last night where Preston, he goes to go one way and he goes the other, or he goes one way and the first receiver switches the play to the other side, okay? And in one situation, and I've actually got some clips on it, which I'll show you, but Preston, right on on the Sharks line, he aims to go right. He's got Satiti standing to his right as first receiver. Just as he's about to pass, Satiti switches. As he's running back behind Preston gives him the ball, and then Satiti, a number 8, with a 20-meter spiral pass over 2 defenders to hit Clark on the chest, and he just walks in the try. That is something that not a lot of teams can do. And again, as I said, it's shifting the contact. It's, the team is waiting for the ball to be carried into this area, and they said, no, we're going to go where you're not expecting it. they switch and go over the other side. So this is going to be key, something like this. So I'll just show you it here. So you can see Preston eyeing, he's got his hands on the ball, Satiti to his right. Satiti now is back right behind Preston. Preston gives him the ball, and then an absolute beautiful spiral pass over two defenders, and hits Clark on the chest. So yeah, stuff like that. This is what we need to see more of going into the South African game, because it's just South Africa's not going to have it all their own way. They're not. You can talk all day about, the South African's going to muscle up and the South African's going to do this and they're going to do that, but the All Blacks have some things that up their sleeve that we're going to see, and if this is anything to go by, I think we can all get pretty excited that we're going to see some interesting stuff come out of this Rennie team.